So in the previous video, we actually created a full funnel strategy for Levi's, and we used different types of prompts. We started with a basic prompt without giving much input. Then we tried a persona prompting pattern, and then we sort of gave it more information about going with a full funnel approach in order to push ChatGPT to think as a growth marketeer. And this is what we came up with in the previous episode. If you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch that. Eventually, ChatGPT was able to come up with a full funnel strategy from a growth marketing perspective. And we were taking the brand Levi's as an example. So it created a few experiment ideas for awareness, for acquisition, for conversion, for the entire CRO journey, as well as the AOV optimization, the retention and CRM strategy to increase the lifetime value of the customers, the referral strategy to get more referrals, the loyalty program, and eventually looking at the full funnel A/B testing, data analytics, and the kinds of metrics that we should be measuring. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually give it inputs, because one of the things, if you would observe here, was that we were always creating a strategy. We were letting ChatGPT do the work. But now we're going to get involved as a growth marketeer into the picture and work alongside ChatGPT. Let me show you how we will do that. This is all great. I think you have come up with a good full funnel strategy so far. Now what I want you to do is I want you to work with me as the point of contact of Levi's. So let's assume that I am the CMO of Levi's and you are my head of growth. And I want you to cater all of the growth marketing strategy and the experimentation to what I really want to achieve with the brand as the CMO or as the decision maker. So in order for us to do this, I want you to ask me any questions that will help you personalize this strategy based on my goals and requirements. So this is a very interesting step, and this is actually the game-changing step right now, because what we are doing now is we are asking it to ask us questions in order for us to give the input that it would then need to make the strategy more in line with the kind of goals that we have. Because so far we were just asking it to make a strategy. It was fun, but it was not aligned to what we want, right? In prompt engineering, this is known as a flipped interaction pattern, where you ask the AI models, where you ask the LLM to actually ask you questions, which then will help the output of the AI become better. You can use this for anything, but in terms of growth marketing, this is how I typically use it. And in some cases, it would even be a very smart move to start off with this kind of a prompt, because you can always tell ChatGPT, ask me all the questions you need to ask to make your output really align to my goals. And that's where the magic happens, right? When your strategy aligns with your goals. So let's see what it comes up with. What are your top growth objectives for Levi's this year? This is the kind of question a growth marketing, a head of growth would ask the CMO or the CEO or the key decision maker. Are there any key customer segments that you want to focus on? How do you want to split the revenue? What kind of brand perception do you want to create? What do you want to do with the loyalty program? Is that the focus area? Do you want to expand to different markets? Do you want to expand your channel strategy and make it more omni-channel and so forth? Do you want to focus on the sustainability aspect? Do you want to focus on the referrals? What are your KPIs, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to give it more input. And now we're going to really push the limits and go from a very general strategy to a very specific growth marketing strategy. So the main goal of this video is to align the strategy to our goals as a business, right? I think those are good questions. The first thing I would like to understand is how are we going to use our growth marketing strategy to drive our main North Star, which is to grow our D2C e-com, our .com business by 2x. We want to double that business next year. We don't want to depend too heavily on wholesale and marketplaces. When it comes to customer segments, we are basically, focusing more on the men, but now we want to expand the women targeting. We want to have a good mix of men and women demographic. So let's assume right now it's 75% men who buy from us and 25% women. We actually want to get it to a 60-40 in the next 1 year. We also want to focus more on people in their late 20s Right now, our average demographic is people in their late 30s. We want to bring that down to people in the late 20s and sort of targeting that age group. In terms of the markets, we are open to international markets. However, we want to aggressively focus on the Asian market. We want to increase our share in the Asian market. It's one of the key drivers of growth. Also has a good young population that is in line with the demographic that I just mentioned. While our awareness stage is pretty much sorted, I don't want you to focus too much on awareness. I think there's a lot of work to be done on the CRM stage. So I want you to focus on the retention aspect, as well as the second bucket I would like you to focus on is the loyalty program. So I do want to improve the retention and the repeat orders through our loyalty program, which is the Red Tab program. These are the main crucial goals that I have. So as you can see, as a CMO or as a decision maker, I haven't been too specific with the goals, and I've rather made it, I have been specific rather compared to an actual decision maker. And sometimes you go on discussions with these decision makers and they're just like, we just want to grow the business, right? Which is not very clear. So I've been more specific so that I can push the limits of ChatGPT and see what it can do with this kind of an input. So let's see what it does. So the main goal that it's come up with is to double the D2C ecom, which is true. That was my main goal. Reduce the dependency on wholesale marketplaces. That's just a repetition of what I said. But yeah, in terms of the strategy, it's focusing there on the acquisition, which makes sense because if I have to grow my D2C ecom, I need to acquire more people through different channels. And then since I also give it a demographic, it's now focusing on things like TikTok, YouTube, creative ads that resonate with their lifestyle. It's also suggesting to run segmented ad campaigns for both genders, which is great because now I want to focus a little bit more heavily on one of the genders. Then it's going to give me examples for conversion optimization, experimentation like product bundling, checkout optimization, and so forth. It's also made sure that it's including some Asia touch points. So for example, in Asia, people mostly shop on mobile. I think that's true for most of the world. But in Asia, it's like 80-90% of people shop from mobile. So it's taken that into account. The gender shift balance, it's taken that into account, 60%, 40%. But for that, let's see what it's come up with for targeting women. Sustainable styles that can be dressed up or dressed down. Showcase collections in real life scenarios that resonate with late 20s women, which is good. Partner with fashion forward female influencers across Asia. That's good. That's for targeting the women. Then it's about the loyalty. So you could offer double loyalty points on purchase of women's collections. And that's a great idea. It's like, if you buy from the Tops collection, for example, on Levi's, from the Tops women collection, you get double the loyalty points, something like that. Targeting a younger demographic. So how do you do that? So you leverage something like a TikTok challenge or Instagram Reels challenge. That's nice. Run segmented campaigns, another one. Segment in the CRM flows. That's an interesting one. So you want to showcase more of the styles that appeal to that age group. That makes sense. Aggressive focus on the Asian market. So localized UX is an interesting one. And then it's also come up with some channels like Lazada, Shopee, which are more popular in Asia. Now it's taken Asia as a whole. It's not really, gone down in the markets within Asia, but that's something we could work on as well. Then it's come with localized email flows. So Singles Day, Diwali for India, Lunar New Year for like China, Malaysia, Singapore, China, Singapore, Vietnam, some of those countries. Then it's come with the Red Tap loyalty program specific to regions. So the local festivals can offer points for locals in that region. And then it's come up with the lifecycle strategies, CRM strategies, still very specific ideas, different incentives, early access to product launches for CRM subscribers, which is great, makes them feel special. Wants to revamp the Red Tab program. It's actually Red Tab. It may have taken my voice note as Red Tap, but that's fine. We can correct it. And then it's taken up the A/B testing aspect, the AOV increase aspect, the women-focused product launches, the influencer campaigns specifically targeted to women. All of those things are pretty good. I think pretty good. Let's just correct it once. pretty good options, and it's not given me strategies to optimize the wholesale or the marketplace side of the business because I asked it to focus on D2C e-commerce. So that's a good thing. Now we have something which is much more specific to the goals that I have. But what I'm going to do is now I'm going to start setting the North Star goal and the OMTMs, right? So this is how we're going to do that. So now that you understand that our main North Star is to double the D2C e-com business, I want you to set the OMTMs, or the specific channel wise and stage of the funnel wise metrics. Actually, let's do it by the stage of the funnel. So in order to double the business, we could actually, acquire double the customers, but we could also get double the repeat orders. We could also have double the referrals. But I want you to spread out this goal across the stages of the funnel. So I want to acquire more customers. At the same time, I also want to improve conversion rates so that I can convert more of those customers. At the same time, I also want more repeat orders so that the lifetime value can improve. And at the same time, I also want more referrals. So I want, now with these goals, I want you to go back to the full funnel and then set up the individual stage-wise goals. Now this is important because you could double your revenue by doubling the number of people that you acquire and just do it with performance marketing. But there are other challenges with that. So there's ROAS challenges. Will you be able to keep up at the same ROAS? Will it be scalable growth? The second is that you're not maximizing the value of the acquired customer. And you may be losing them to other brands after the first order, right? So they might place a first order from you. And if you're not retargeting them through retention channels or your CRM strategies or automations, or your loyalty program, they might then just go to Lee or Wrangler or any other brand to buy denims from there. So I want a well mixed strategy. So not just an omni-channel acquisition strategy, but also multiple stages of the funnel growth marketing strategy, which is why we are talking about full funnel growth, right? So now let's see how it does this. So we'll set objective, measurable, deliverable metrics. My point was OMTM, only metrics that matter, but it's come up with OMTMs, objective, measurable, deliverable metric. I actually like this. It may even make more sense than an OMTM because OMTM itself doesn't make a lot of sense, right? It's just a fancy word. But let's see. Goal, increase the number of new customers. OMTMs, acquire 50% more customers. So it's not doubling the number of users acquired because you could double the users and double the revenue, but instead it's saying acquire 50% more, which is nice. And for that, this is the deliverable, this is the metric. Now you want to also maintain or improve the CAC while scaling. So it would be easily possible to do that with a 50% increase in traffic versus like a 500% increase in traffic or a 200% increase in traffic. On the other hand, it wants to improve the conversion rate by 30%. And within that, it's breaking it down to target a 20% improvement on the product page to cart conversion rate, 10% on the cart to checkout. So it's improving the conversion rate at every stage of the funnel, some tactics to do that. Then it's going to increase the repeat orders by 50%. So it's increasing all of the metrics because this is going to be improving your overall lifetime value and the repeat purchase rate. Then it's talking about the Red Tab program and it's saying increase the referral driven revenue by 100%. That's a big jump. I wouldn't say that that's realistic. I would rather reduce that and then increase the target for acquisition because of my experience. That's the past data that I have. Of course, if you have under-tapped referrals, for example, if you're a new startup, you've never tapped into referrals, it's a different thing. But a Levi's would have done a lot of work on referrals already. That's the assumption here. So assuming that we are going to increase all of these metrics, I like the improvement that we have targeted for the conversion metric as well as the retention metric. But I think we might be going too aggressive in assuming that we'll be able to double the referral revenue. I think it's much easier to increase a little bit more on the acquisition side and reduce the target that we had on the referral. Also, just to clarify, I meant OMTM, which is the only metric that matters for that stage of the funnel. But I also like your concept of OMDM. I don't mind it. So, of course, one thing you'll notice that I'm nice to ChatGPT. I know a lot of people say you don't need to be nice to ChatGPT, but I'm honestly genuinely nice to people in general and also AI. So it just translates into the same thing. I hope I am. I mean, That's my perspective. But now what it's done is it's only metric that matters, but it's not changed the acronym, which is fine. Acquisition stage, traffic growth 60%, conversion stage 30%, retention 40%, and referrals 25%. So it's reduced the target for referrals. And let's just summarize the targets in a table format so that I have this snapshot of what exactly I'm trying to achieve. So this is the final table that it comes up with. For acquisition, increase the new customer growth, traffic growth, 60% year on year. Conversion, improve the conversion rates, 30%. Retention, increase the repeat purchases by 40% or whatever it is currently. Referrals by 25%. So that's the key goals for each stage of the funnel. So what we did is we went from a very general strategy to a very specific goal-oriented strategy by exploring the flipped interaction pattern and then summarize those goals based on the metrics that we want to target in a simple table format. So that's all for this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.